Hello and welcome back. Another week, another couple of chapters of boyfriend material. First of all, since we're getting close to the end, I decided to do 4 chapters this week, 4 chapters next week, then like 5 and 3, just to I don't know, even it out, help my soul not feel like I split it like poorly. Secondly, these 4 chapters. Does my silence speak volumes? Wow. And we have 4 chapters to resolve what happened from these 4 chapters. I have been procrastinating filming this for the last half an hour to an hour. Because I haven't wanted to talk about it. It hasn't sunk in. I do not believe it is real. I do not want to believe it is real. I believe things may end up being good and well and jolly and fun in the end. But I am slightly crushed by what has digressed in these chapters. Should we just get into it? Yes, but, fucking hell. These chapters. So we did 46, 47, 48, and 49. It's just one of the, I'm a little crushed. Just slightly too amazingly crushed by these chapters. I want to go on. I really do. But I'm worried about what's going to happen in these. I nearly broke my rule. I was so close to just finishing the book. But it's just one of those things. I film every week for this. So I was like, if I read it now, rereading the chapters would hurt, but I was like, I'd forget everything in all those first impression thoughts, because I read and then I come semi-straight to filming if we're not procrastinating depression. I get straight to filming. I get those first initial thoughts, how I'm vibing it, but I was like, I want to read it now so bad to see how this book ends, but I can't, but it's gonna hurt me. Hopefully, I will blissfully forget everything that happened by the end of the day. It's one of my filming days. So, hopefully that'll help, because this fucking thing, man. Okay, we're just gonna get into it. And steadily spiral into craziness. Even though we're doing 4 chapters, there was a lot of circling. There was so much circling, these chapters, because things were going on. But for now, we should get into it. Also, do you know what? Okay, I post usually, I film the day after I post my my book reaction, our book club that we are doing, a book podcast. I feel like it's semi a book podcast at this point. I feel like the amount of time I use to talk about it, to read from it, feels like a book podcast. But I was wondering if anyone notices, in my thumbnail, surprisingly, if you don't look that quickly, it looks like the same thumbnail every week. But I do change it to a favorite excerpt that I find from each week. In the back, the background text behind me is an excerpt from that week, and I wonder if anyone noticed, because I do it every week, and I'm like, oh, I love this clip. I wonder if anyone, and then I forget to ask if anyone's actually noticed what bit I put in. It's hard to see because obviously my face is in front of it, and if we could just have all the beautiful writing instead of my face, that would be great. But gotta throw it in there. But I was just wondering if anyone noticed which excerpt I put in each week. See, because I do put one in the title as well on some weeks as well. So just let me know, because it's one of those things I'm just I wonder if anyone notices. Other than that, like and subscribe. That would be bloody wonderful. And let's get into it. Chapter 46. So we are still at the anniversary. We are still fucking dealing with this bullshit. Absolute bullshit. And my heart hurts, constantly and forever for Oliver. And this is hard. And Luke's feeling it too. Again, we're the same person. It was boring as fuck, but it would have been okay if I hadn't also had to watch him getting quieter and smaller with every conversation. Maybe I'd had too much champagne, but honestly, it felt like I was losing him, and all I wanted was to get him back home, where he could be prissy and grumpy, or funny, or secretly wicked, where he could be my Oliver again. So cute, because he's I know you. I know what you are. Because, like, everyone does, I reckon, change in a way around their parents. It's a different, like, no one's really as they are with, like, their friends or their partners in front of your parent. And if you are, like, fully and you think you are, that's, like, that's great. That's the life. Like, I have a great relationship with my parents, but I am not the same person I am around my friends. Meaner to my friends, first of all. But, like, you know, what is it, code switch? You switch up because, like, they're a different demographic most of the time. They're not how your friends are going to react to things. It's just what you do. But it's to a very different degree. And Oliver's is to a degree where I'm like, this isn't like the usual. You know, you don't usually change to be a different person. And not saying like, oh, like, it's not usual, so he's like weird for doing too much. He's doing it because that's what he needs to do to get through it. That's how he interacts with his parents. Possibly that's a reason, like a strategy for him to feel safer, or, you know, being small and agreeable maybe makes them not as, like, scary to him, and he doesn't realize how truly mean and cruel they are being, as we see going on. So, like, you know, he's switching, but he's doing what he knows, which is no problem. It's, you know, it's what happens. But it's just hard because you can tell Luke is seeing it, and Luke can tell what's going on. And from an outside perspective, it's so obvious. It's like, these people are bullying him, and no one's saying anything, and the parents have just done it forever, and they think that's fine, and Oliver has endured it forever, so he thinks it's fine. The brother's like, I'm pretty sure the brother's girlfriend's probably like, yeah, they are fucking rude. I hope that we would get her on our side. It hasn't happened yet. I don't think it'll happen in it, but it would be nice to be like, her be like, that was fucking like, this is, yes, I agree. But they give their parents some wedding anniversary presents, you know, just the nicitude, some Ruby things, which is like really sweet, but also like, again, it's like this level of like unpersonableness that's really, I can't put my finger on it. Everything just feels off. So Oliver's mother is complaining about never getting to see him and everything that's wrong with his life. So we have a couple of fairly big bits going on here. I'm sorry, Mother, he said. I know I'm not saving babies, but I have rather a lot going on. Miriam's eyes alighted on me very briefly, and then skidded away. So I see. What happened to the other fellow? Also, don't bring, like, fuck it, bitch, don't bring up an X in front of the new boy. That's just so, that feels targeted and petty. Andrew and I broke up. Shane, he seemed like a nice young man. It wasn't working out. I suppose, she paused quite indelicately, it's more difficult in your situation. I mean, you have to be so careful. I'm not sure that's entirely the case. You know best, darling. Apparently it was time for a knee pat. I just worry because I'm your mother, and you see such horrible stories in the newspaper. I'm fine, really. I think Lucien's been good for me. You look tired. It's like this, like, she's not saying she disapproves, but like, oh, no, he's not good for you. Yeah, that would be because he hardly slept last night. In the boring tossing, turning, going for a run at 3 a.m. way, rather than the excited of doing sexy things way. I told you. A line had appeared between Oliver's brows. I'm fine. Miriam blinked rapidly, as if to say, I'm trying not to cry, but it's hard because you've been so horrible to me. You won't understand this because you'll never have children of your own, but it's very difficult for me to see you boys not taking care of yourselves. Oh my god. This woman and her fucking audacity. The audacity she fucking, A, that you'll never have children thing. A, if he doesn't want to have children, that's his fucking choice, just like your other child that you're bullying. And then B, he can fucking have children, so shut the fuck up. Just, you know, because it's not the general way of doing things does not make them any less children, so fuck you. C, what else did she say that fucking... oh, I'm trying not to cry because you've been so horrible to me. The fucking... And it's rude to say that, but in this, like, context, you can definitely see she's, like, victimizing herself. She's like, oh, you've been short with me. Oh, why would you be so rude to your mother? Like, I've done nothing but be the best for you, when she is literally berating him. She has been so... Oh, and she can't see it. And I understand that, and, like, it's just the fact that, like, it's difficult, because when I am an asshole, I know I've been an asshole. Like, everything I do, I feel like, I would like to say I have pretty good awareness of my my emotions and by how I speak to people. If I'm going to be awful to someone, I'll still be aware that I've been awful, and it happens. And when I've been nice to someone, I've been nice to someone. But the people that, like, can't differentiate what they're putting out in the world is crazy to me. I'm like, you've been, like, the most horrible person ever, but you don't understand that is like, the way, like, Miriam lives her life is nuts to me. She just goes around, everything's not for her. Everything is not real or, like, normal or human about it. There's just such a detachment, and I feel like you could do, like, a 3 million word essay on her. Like, just her alone, or I feel like the people who are probably way smarter than me that could analyze Oliver and his family and his upbringing would actually be super interesting, because oh god, his mother. And then you have fucking Uncle Jim. Like, this family only gets worse. Who steps in? Lucien's had an important work function, so yes, we've been busy. Well, you better be careful, Uncle Jim poured at Oliver in a way that I thought was meant to be affectionate. Put on any more weight and he'll dump you like the rest of them. I'm not going to dump him, I insist, probably slightly too loudly. He looks great. We're very happy. His mother faffed again with his tie, sighing softly. Maybe it's this shirt. You know blue isn't your color, darling. I'm sorry. I hadn't thought it would be possible for Oliver to shrink further than he shrank, but he shrank further. I didn't want to be late, so I dressed in a hurry. We've still got some of your old things upstairs if you want to change. Oliver visibly cringed. I've not lived here since I was 17. I don't think anything would fit me anymore. Another hearty laugh from Uncle Jim. See? What did I say? You're nearly 30 now. You'll be a fat bastard before you know it. So, fucking hell. So besides all, his issues with his parents of, like, berating him and never feeling good enough and always compared to his brother and all of that, then you then have this other layer of some sort of body shaming, some body shaming and like food fear going on of him, like, been like, if you eat too much you'll become fat and that's why everyone dumps you, or like, this is this and fat is bad, and like so many just like wrong things that maybe in a way led him to his very healthy lifestyle, which is, it seems that Oliver actually takes very good care of himself and is not on a stringent diet that is actually harmful to him, because, he exercises, eats a lot, and eats very nutritional and, like, good and healthy foods, and seems in actually, like, very good quantities. But I think there could be a part of Uncle Jim that has, like, forced him to go down this very stringent, like, he's not very lax with his diet either. He's very serious. He steals desserts, which is, like, the cutest thing, and means a lot more now, knowing what he has gone through with his family. Like, he probably hears every time he wants dessert, because he seems like a fucking sweet tooth and he wants to enjoy things, but he has this, like, strict thing of his family in the background, like, you'll be, disgusting, people will dump you, don't do this, it's bad for you. And fucking, who is Uncle Jim to fucking say these things? Who does Uncle Jim think he is? If Uncle Jim is not a bloody, like, GQ's Man of the Year, he has no pedestal to stand on because Oliver is perfect and you can't tell me otherwise. It's crazy that like someone phrased as like Uncle Jim thinks that he has the right to like comment on Oliver. Like, just live your life, Uncle Jim. I would fight these people. And I'm happy what's coming up because I feel like I would crack the shits too. Because I'd be like, are you guys fucking kidding? Like, are you guys actually... Do you hear yourselves? Are you fucking hearing yourselves? You people are awful. But, luckily, someone gets to do some of this for me. So, we will continue on. So, more and more... Before we get into the one good bit of these chapters, more and more fucking degrading, more and more, what are you doing with your life? Should you be here? Like, you should be in a better law bit, you should be higher up, you should be earning more money. And then, you know, Oliver are saying things like, oh, I've looked, but if I want to move up, I would have to move. And then they're like, oh, and you'd move away from us and you'd be further from us. And I'm like, can he not win? So what, you want him to move up the ranks, but to do that, he'd have to move. But if he moves, you'd be disappointed at him. So if he moves and goes up the ranks, you'd be disappointed. But if he stays where he is, you'd still be disappointed. Like, whereas I am, like, actually fueled with, like, I am that person that is, like, to friends. Like, when I hear, like, things, not from all my friends' parents are actually very lovely. But, like, when I hear things like this from people, or, like, they'll be talking about, like, a teacher or something that's, like, just been... I'm just like, fucking, you gotta, like, these are bad people. These are toxic people. Even if they think they need a fucking awakening, I'm like, you can't... it's nuts. I would not stand for this. I would be, like, Oliver has been absolutely been through it for years, and they're like, I can completely understand how he probably just feels absolutely powerless. Like, this is just how it works. I'm happy to get what we're coming up, because even if Oliver can't see this is what he needs or someone needs to do, and no matter how like no, it's not cringe, but like, ooh, this is a public setting, Luke, what are you doing? I'm so happy this happened. So we will go into it as they keep berating him. For God's sake, stop it. Oh, help. That was me. And I really wished it hadn't been. But everyone was staring, so I kind of committed. Can't you see you're upsetting him? It was one of those silences that made you miss screaming. Then Miriam was glaring at me with what I was shocked to realize was actual contempt. How dare you try and tell us how to speak to our own son? I'm not. I'm just pointing out the blindingly fucking obvious, which is you're making Oliver feel bad for no reason. Amazing. Step down, Lucien. David stood up, which lacked a certain amount of impact because he was nearly a foot shorter than me. We've known him a lot longer than you have. A, fuck off. B, no offense to all my short kings out there. We respect you, and if you have a great personality, you're the best person ever. But I love when that trope happens in, like, a movie and TV show, where, like, they get all, like, macho and masculine, and they go up to someone, and they're just, like, a decently amount shorter. I think that is maybe a bad trope, but I'm sorry, I think it's like funny when someone like they think they're like the biggest, toughest thing in the world and they just happen to be shorter. I think it's hilarious. I can't wait for this movie to come out to see that scene. I want to see Luke standing there, like standing his ground, you know, being bigger than usual, just been like, and Oliver's dad just been like literally like a big baby. I imagine him in my mind as a big baby, just complaining. No use turning back yet now. Yeah, but that doesn't change the fact that you've been assholes. Miriam did that. You have nearly made me cry look again. Oliver, what on earth possessed you to bring this man into our home? There was no answer from Oliver, which was fair enough, because honestly, I was asking myself the same question. Leave him alone. I might actually have roared. Fine, you don't like me. Well, guess what? I don't care. I care about the fact that you've invited my boyfriend to a garden party and seem to be getting off at torturing him. He's clearly too nice to be beaten down for years of this shit to tell you to go fuck yourselves. But I'm not. So, go fuck yourselves? I love it. I'm not sure what reaction I'd been expecting. I mean, obviously it wouldn't have been nice if they turned around and said, "Gosh, you're right, we'll go away and rethink our entire value system." But I think that ship had sailed around the point I had told them to go fuck themselves. "Get out of my house," was David's predictable and, in concept, not unreasonable reply. I ignored him and slid off the arm of the bench to plant myself in front of Oliver. He wouldn't look at me. "I'm sorry I fucked this up. I'm sorry I've said fuck so many times, especially when you've been amazing whenever I needed you. It's just," I pulled a shaky breath, "you're the best man I've ever met, and I can't sit by and watch other people make you doubt that, even if they're your parents." Finally he looked up, his eyes pale and unreadable in the summer sunlight. "Lucien, it's okay, I'm going, and you don't have to come with me, but I want you to know that you're great, and I don't know how anyone can think you're not. You know, great, and like, this was impossible. It would have been impossible if we'd been alone in a dark room, and here we were with half a dozen people staring at us. Your job is great, and you're really great at it, and you look great in blue, and I was getting the feeling this could have gone better. I know I'm not your family, and I know I'm just some guy, but I hope you can believe that I care about you enough that you can believe what I'm saying about you now, because it's true." I fully intended to say my piece and walk out of there with my head held high and whatever was left of my dignity, but yeah, didn't happen. I panicked and ran like hell. Did I think we were going to get an "I love you"? Maybe. I really did. I kind of reread it a couple of times, thinking that I had missed the, Oliver, I love you. I thought that's where we might get it. Unfortunately not. I thought it would have been a good place, but going on, maybe not the best place. But Luke, thank you. Thank you for that. Honestly, we needed it. And to be able to get to Oliver and to communicate what's actually happening might never happen, and I don't think he might ever accept how truly kind of mean his parents are. And I wouldn't say, no, they are mean, but I know what they're trying to do in a way. It's really hard because it's I can see in one small aspect where they are coming from and what they are doing, and I don't not believe that they care or love him. They're just going it in a way of their era where that is just kind of how you talk to people, and that's what's said, and that's what their friends do, that's what their parents did, and I don't think they realize the negative impacts of the tones and backhandedness of the way they are talking, and I don't think they'd ever be able to connect that the problems they find in him are the problems they have probably caused, and I think that is really disheartening, and I think, communication is such a serious point in any sort of relationship that exists on Earth, and I think so many people, don't know how to do it, but can say the wrong thing accidentally, or just don't know what certain things can lead to or progress to, and I think that is hard, but I think as a society we are somewhat getting better, and I feel like a lot of people go, "Ooh, you can't say anything anymore, and woke culture is bad," or whatever, but there's definitely a slight, I'm not talking about it in general, but there is a slight part of, a youthful culture, a woke culture, a different sort of communication that is a lot more effective and positive and can breed a lot more of receptiveness. Now, I don't think that can apply to every situation and every cause, and definitely everything in life is case by case, and nothing can be the same and nothing can be generalized, but I think certain things are getting better. And obviously, with parenting and bringing up kids, letting them have, or encouraging feelings and open communication can be, a very good thing for a healthy child development, and letting kids just enjoy life or be kids and not, sticking them into rigid boxes are fantastic. Did I say not sticking them into rigid? Whichever the one makes sense to what the point I'm going on, because I'm going to spiral in ways I will not know how to get out of. But I think I've tangented on along for... You get what I mean. I'm happy that Luke spoke up. I'm happy that he fights for his man. I think I couldn't sit along with that either. And even though I know where they're coming from, I feel like maybe I would want to go about it a more a not go fuck yourself way, like a we're going to learn about some things way. But then again, when I get angry or upset, possibly like Luke, I can't string a thought together really either. I've done this a lot of the time in my past jobs when like you have a really someone that really upsets you. I can't get words out very quickly when I'm angry or upset. It just revolves to swearing and baseline. So I completely get why Luke may have not gone down the I'm going to educate you route and he went the go fuck yourselves route, because I get it and I like it. But we kind of just go down from here. We have little ups, but everything is just hard and tough. But we'll go into the next chapter. So luckily, I feel like there was so much in that one chapter. I'm not going to brisk through the next one, but I don't think they're as long for some of the most parts. But we get Oliver comes running after us. Luke starts to go, Oliver, I started. And he just says, let's go home. So we have some sense of he'll be with us, let's go. But then you're like, we don't actually really know what he's thinking, and he's dealing with stuff, and he gets in the car, and he drives, and he speeds, and we're scared, and then he kind of stops, because we're like, you nearly just killed us, and then he starts crying, and we're like, we don't really know how to deal with that, and then we go into a couple of these bits. Eventually, Oliver shook off my hand and turned to face me. He had that red, puffy, serious tear look about him that filled him with a hopeless desire to make everything better for him. I wish, he said, with a valiant effort that sounded Oliver-like, I wish you hadn't seen that. Oh my god, it's okay, everybody cries. Not that, well a little bit that. It's everything. He gave a sad little sniff. I behaved terribly today. You weren't the one telling everyone to go fuck themselves. No, I'm grateful you tried to speak up for me, but I should have never put you in that position. I know today was difficult, but they genuinely want the best for me, and I keep letting them down. Oliver, that is the wrongest thing I've ever heard. I made a somewhat futile attempt to sound calm and rational. Okay, I'm just guessing here, but have you ever gone anywhere without your parents, without your mum having some complaint or other about what you're wearing? She has very high standards. Maybe. Or maybe I'm having trouble putting this in a non-judgmental way. Maybe she's got into the habit of criticizing you and hasn't paid attention to how much that messes you up. His eyes filled with fresh tears. Go me. She's not trying to upset me. She's trying to help. And you know what? I believe that. But you don't need that kind of help. And trying to make you think you do is mean. And don't even get me started on your dad. What's wrong with my father? I mean, I know he's a bit reformed, but he's never been violent. He's always been there. He's supportive of Christopher through medical school and me throughout the bar. Yeah, none of that gives him the right to call you a screaming bender in front of his friends. He was joking. He's always been fine with my sexuality. He literally used it as a punchline. Lucien, I feel bad enough as it is already. And I don't think then was the maybe the time to drill in the exact bits of how mean and horrible his parents are, but I do believe Luke is doing it out of obviously a place of love, and it needs to be said, but you can tell, because he's got these excuses ready, I feel like he has already thought about this in a way. Has she ever not complained about what you're wearing or complained about something? She's got high standards. He's thought about why she always complains, and that's how he's rationalized to it himself. And his dad, but he's not violent, but he's violent with his words. You know what I mean? Oliver has definitely thought about these things, and I think deep down knows what is going on, or knows the problems there are. He's just kind of buried them, made excuses, which is not a bad thing, it's how he's coping, but he has made these reasons of why, and just gone on from that. And it hurts, and I feel bad, and I like that Oliver will keep trying, and Luke will keep trying to put this in, but he needs to know when to stop and let him feel his emotions and sit with them and process what's happening. But basically, Oliver is just a fucking mess. Expectedly so. It makes sense. It's fine. He wants a bacon sandwich. He's a vegetarian. Luke's like, I think you should just have it. He actually gave a fantastic explanation to why. He's like, you know what? I've got bacon anyway. Morally, it's not going anywhere. You can have it. He's like, I'm a vegetarian. He's like, basically, you've had a fucked up day, and unlike everyone else, I'm not going to deny you happiness or pleasure. I don't want to talk you into something you don't want to do, but if you want it, have it, because life's too short. And he's like, okay, I'll have a bacon sandwich. You know, we can just call it an ethical bacon sandwich for one day. I do feel bad sometimes when you're just like, sometimes when you make too many commitments to yourself and you break them all the time, it's hard. But when you have these commitments that you hold to yourself so highly, and it's gonna like hurt you too much to not sometimes just bend the rules a bit. Sometimes you have to dive in. Oh, I can't think of the word. Divulge? No, that's not the right word. You have to give in to something you're craving. Sometimes you have to be bad, have to be naughty. Like, a little bacon sandwich is not going to hurt. I feel like I understand the vegan, vegetarian, ethical dilemma. I really do. I understand it. I am a meat eater, but I understand where it's coming from. But I'm just like, when you have had such a shit day, if you just want to eat this one certain thing that might make you feel happier and better, that is something you should do, because your soul needs nourishing. Whew. This chapter has me fired up. This chapter has me sad. This chapter has me feeling a lot of things, and I think that is an indication of why I'm enjoying this book so much. Well, not these chapters, because I'm depressed, but you can tell like how good a book is by how like riled up or emotional you get. I didn't get like sad cry because I was too pissed off this whole chapter at everyone and everything that was going on, but I know that at least the pissed offness and the angriness I am feeling is because I care about the characters, which is meaning I'm really enjoying the book. But we're going into chapter 48. So Luke's cooking bacon. He's got a secret method. He knows what he's doing. Oliver's still feeling very blue. I just mean it's a good way to cook bacon so it doesn't dry out, or turn to charcoal. I half turned so that I could catch his eye. Trust me, if there's one thing I take seriously, it's bacon. Amen. Like, no, truer words have never been spoken. I do. He kissed my neck, making me shiver. Trust you, that is. Not take bacon seriously. Well, you did come here to assess my bacon strategy. I came here to be close to you. I ran through a bunch of responses in my head, but decided it wasn't the time to be taking refuge in banter. I like having you here. Okay, the reason I point, like, emotions are forming. The reason I circled that chapter and had it, like, circled and think it's so poignant is for what's to come at the end of this chapter, I think. And what hurts more, the fact that he does say something like, I trust you and I want to be close to you. The reason what is to come comes like weirder and worse, and it makes no sense, and it hurts my soul, but we'll continue before I get into that. So they start eating their bacon sandwiches. They're having a great time. Oliver doesn't feel as guilty as he thinks, which is like fantastic, because he just needs some soul nourishing and he needs some happiness. And if that's what's going to give it to him, that's what he needs. And I am a firm believer in stick to your guns, but if you need something to like help, do that. that is going to be good for you, if that's what you want and that's what you need, fucking do it. You know what I mean? It's like those when you're like, if you're like horrible sick, try, if you can, take a day off. Like if you need to go to Macca's and have a, you know what I mean? Like if you need something that's, you know, very like, just something you wouldn't do every day, but would do every couple, sometimes you need it. You know what I mean? Like an unhealthy snack, I go for a drive, you know, is that something you need? I'm just like, I'm all for it. To an extent, you know, obviously there's lines with anything. But, I keep wondering, Oliver said, why I bought you today. Wow, I know I handled it badly, but that's harsh. He was frowning thoroughly. Because, Oliver, no, you didn't, or rather, you handled it as perhaps, on some level, I expected you might. Not that I thought you'd go as far as telling my parents to go fuck themselves in front of Uncle Jim and the vicar, but I think... What? I asked. I think I wanted to do something that was for me and not for them, to see what it felt like. And, what did it feel like? I still don't know. That's alright. I moved across and gave him a sort of a nuzzle. I guess that I probably should have been more self-conscious. I can live with being for you. It's okay. So, just like everything, this chapter has left me more like unsure of anything I ever am thinking of talking about more than any chapter I've read. I just can't get my like, it's a lot more, like I feel like, and this is not comparing, it's just something I'm thinking of in the moment with Red, White, and Royal Blue, and even reading like Heartstopper like by myself, which let me know if I should do like read the new Heartstopper comic or not, because that's something I could get into. That could be fun. It's just, you know, a bit more visual, less but still could be fun. But with those, I felt like everything was a lot less black and white. Obviously everything had like a lot more black and white, they all had nuance and serious depth and were like very, but it was the way I felt like I could in a way relate more and less. Like I could understand where everything was coming from and I could make sense of it all because they just happened very factually and the characters were together. And this is not, it's hard to word what I'm feeling, but this one, it's just, there's so many moving parts and it is so real and there's just such a thing about it that I can't put my finger on, that just every time I think about it, I can't like come to conclusions about in certain things. In the other like queer books and stuff I've read, sometimes when the plot and the bad things happen, I can see them and just completely go on and talk about them and understand everything that's going on. And for this one, I just kind of sit there and I'm like, sometimes I can't even think about how I'm processing it, about how they're processing it. If you know what I mean, I think that is a very interesting thought. You know what I think it's interesting how complex these characters are. Maybe I am overthinking it, but I definitely believe that there's so much going on. It is hard to figure out in a way. Oh, Lucien, I don't know what I would have done without you today. Well, you probably wouldn't have had to leave your parents' anniversary. From what you've said, that might not have been a good thing. See, you're making progress. There was a pause. I'm afraid I still can't quite bring myself to think about it properly. I'm not as fearless as you. I'm plenty fearful, as you well know. It never seems to hold you back. I caught his wrist and kissed his palm. You're giving me way too much credit. I was a total mess before I met you. Your flat was a total mess. It's not the same. You know, I smiled out at him. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about whether I suck or not. You just keep believing I don't. I'll never believe you're anything less than remarkable. Remarkable. Oh fuck, I've never been good at this stuff. Me too. I mean, like only I think you are. Not that I think I am. I mean, I'm not in a low self-esteem way. Like, that would be really arrogant. Look, can we have sex now? Ever the romantic, Lucien. That's how I express myself. It's a part of my unique charm. He snorted, but he led me to the bedroom anyway, where I undressed him slowly, and for some reason couldn't stop kissing him. And he gave himself up to me, moment by moment, and I lost myself in the rhythm of his body and the hunger of his touch. I came to him like I thought I would never come to anyone, forgetting to hold back in the need to make him feel as safe and as cherished and as special as he made me. I held him, and he clung to me, and we moved together. And, okay, I gazed into his eyes, and I whispered to him, telling him stuff, embarrassing stuff, about me and how much I cared about him and how wonderful he was to me. And I, and we, and look, it's not the sort of thing you talk about, okay? It was for us, and it was everything. The fact that that is what we get, and then we go straight on to this bit that I am about to read out, is fucking crazy. I was awoken frankly way too early for a Sunday, but by a fully dressed Oliver kissing me lightly on the forehead. This wasn't completely unprecedented because Oliver was being a respectable adult human, didn't share my commitment to the art of a lie-in, but something felt off. "Goodbye, Lucien," he said. Now I saw that and said, what does he mean by that? Because I was feeling weird too. I was feeling some sort of way, and I was like, what does he mean by... No one says goodbye. Like, goodbye is like a goodbye, you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you leave, you're like, see ya, see you later, like, even like, goodbye, but it's just so serious. I was suddenly way more conscious than I liked being at this time in the morning. Wait, what? Where are you going? Home. Why? If you got work to do, you can do it here, or give me 10 minutes. Well, that was fairly optimistic, but what the hell, I'll come with you. You misunderstand me. I've enjoyed our time together, and I'm grateful for your efforts, but we've done what we set out to do. It's time for the both of us to move on. What is even happening right now? Hang on. Hey. We had this feels real to both of us talk. There's no takey backsies on this feels real to both of us talk. And, he said, in his cool, empty voice, we also agreed that we would wait till the end of the arrangement to make any formal commitments. Okay then, I formally commit. I don't think that's a good idea. Once again, what is even happening right now? Jumping down. We've gone to restaurants, we've talked about our feelings, we've met each other's fucking parents. In what way is this not a relationship? I've had far more of them than you, and I can assure you this has felt nothing like one. It's been all fantasy, that's all. I stared at him, angry and betrayed and hurt and confused. You've been in more relationships than me because, by your own admission, you ballsed up many of them. Are you honestly trying to claim we're not a couple because we're not miserable and bored of each other? It's easy to be happy, he told me, when you're pretending. Who's fucking pretending? Do you think I'd be like this if I was pretending? He sat on the edge of the bed, rubbing his brow in a tormented way he had, except this time it was expressing more than indulgent frustrations at my antics. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. Of course, I'm going to make this more difficult than it needs to be. You think I'm just going to let you throw this away for no reason except... Oh fuck. This is because I made you have a bacon sandwich. I put my head in my hands. I can't believe I'm about to get dumped over a bacon sandwich. It's not about the sandwich. It's, he sighed, about you and me. We're different people. But we work. That came out sounding slightly more pitiful than I would have wanted. But I guess I had some choices ahead of me, and if it came down to keeping my dignity versus keeping Oliver, things weren't looking good for my dignity. This is hard to read again. And I don't understand what I've done wrong. I mean, apart from telling your entire family to fuck off, and okay, that was probably a biggie, but if that was a deal breaker, I wish you'd told me that before I made a total fool of myself over you last night. It's not that either. Then, I yelled, what the fuck is it? Because from when I'm standing, you spent months telling me how wonderful and beautiful and amazing and worth something, and now it's just, what? Okay, thanks, bye? I was like, what word is that? It's not about you, Lucien. How is you dumping me not about me, okay? This was good. I could work with this. If I was angry, I wasn't crying. Like, did you mean a single word you said since the whole thing started? I meant all of it. But being with you isn't right for me. And being with me isn't right for you. It felt fucking right yesterday, and it felt fucking right for ages. He wouldn't even look at me. I've already told you this. This hasn't been real. And it can't last because you've pointed out my relationships don't. And I'd rather remember what we've had than watch it go cold and die like it always does. Oh, come on. That is the worst reason for breaking up with someone that I have ever heard. I made a messy grab for his hand. I can't promise you forever because that's not at all how it works. But I literally can't imagine not wanting to be with you. Not wanting this, whatever we call it. That's because you barely know me. With a depressing faintly, he untangled his fingers from mine and stood up. You keep telling me how perfect I am. You must know by now that I am anything but. In 2 months you realize I'm not special, and a month after that you realize I'm not interesting either. We'll spend less time together and mind less about it, and one day you'll tell me things I have come to the natural conclusion. You'll move on, and I'll be where I've always been, never quite what someone is looking for. He turned his head away. I'm not strong enough to go through it with you. There was a pause. And then, in a moment of epiphany that deserved a full fucking chorus of angels, or at least a male voice choir, I got it. Hang on a second. I actually wagged a finger at him. I know this because I do it all the time. You, like me, and you're scared, and you've been through something, and it's shaken you up, and your first instinct is to run. But if I can work through that, then so can you. Because you are way smarter and way less fucked up than me. Another pause. How about, I suggested, somewhere between hope and desperation, you go into the bathroom for a bit. A third pause, and definitely the worst yet. Fuckity fuck. This was a seriously non-ideal. I'd legitimately gone all in on this, and had said some pretty intense thing and put myself way out there. And if after all that blew up in my face, I didn't know how I was going to. I can't be what you need me to be, he said. Goodbye, Lucien. And by the time I got past the wait, stop, please don't go stage, he'd already gone, which pretty much ruined my Sunday, and my Monday and Tuesday, and possibly my life. We've still got a chapter to go, but I'm just gonna sink into the ground and die. Yeah, the rest of the videos should be done back here, because this is how sad and small I feel after reading. I had to read that again. Sorry I stuffed up literally every sentence, but I was barely making it through that just without. I felt like I wanted to do after every end of the sentence, just do a. It hurts. It hurts so much, and it's just so sad. And even after this chapter, all you can see, like, Oliver, just, he wants to be in it, but he's so, like, there's not much, just, like, Luke hit it on the head. He's just, like, the fact that he's like, you know, you'll be bored of me, like, it's not real, it's a fantasy. But what do you mean? Because we're happy now and we possibly won't be as happy as we are now, we should just not bother? And then like, oh, you're just scared of these things, so you're running away? And I feel like Lucien's gonna have to go back to him, but not have to go back to him, he could do whatever he wants, but like, I want him to go and fight for it, but it just feels so shitty to do. To be fair, I want Oliver to come fight for it back. And there was a part of me that was like, maybe his family or his parents like rang him in the night or something, or like it was a part that just felt so left field. And I do understand where Oliver's coming from, but I do not agree with it. And it just feels so, I'm just like, why? Like, we've been through so much and this is what you decide to do. Also, it is not what Luke deserves from you. Like, we spent the whole time talking about how Luke's the, like, flight risk. Luke could be the problem, and, you know, he's like, I will not do this to you. And then Oliver kind of just turns around and does it to him. And it just felt... It was left field. It was horrible. I hate it. We're moving on because I don't want to talk about it anymore because I'm emotional and I hate it, and I will just happily wait until they get back together and pretend like this didn't happen. Is that immature of me? Yes, but I don't care because we're here for the good times. Well, if we're only here for the good times, A, the good times won't be as good if you don't go through the bad times. Plus, we wouldn't have a lot of this book to read because it has been a lot of bad times and sad times. But it's a great character development, and I want Oliver to realize what he's done and come back and fight for him. And that is the last thing I will say until we go to this next chapter. Chapter 49, last chapter of the week. Let's go. So we go from, like, it's not bad to worse, and it's not from worse. It's just like from bad to another sort of bad. We have our, you know, regular scheduled meeting with old Father Dearest at this nice place, and we're like, well, you know, at least we'll do it. We're, you know, matured enough. We'll go meet him. And we kind of sit there for a while. We're still fucking depressed about Oliver, but we're like, whatever. And Dad's not showing up, and we, like, ring him and call him a lot. And we're like, oh, we're mad at him, but, like, there's also a chance he died, so we won't hold that, but also we're kind of mad at him. And then we call our mum to be like, babe, what's going on? Like, where's Father Dearest? And she says, we've got bad news, but we should come over. And we're like, holy shit, why can't you just tell us on the phone? So we get there. He better not be dead, I told her as I marched into the living room. I'm going to be so annoyed if he's dead. Well, then there's good news, because he's not dead. In fact, he's probably not going to be dead for many years. I threw myself into the usual dogless, but there was still faintly dog-smelling sofa. There was only ever one way this was going. There was only one way this had ever been going. He never had cancer, did he? The doctors had said some worrying things, and you know these old men. They are very nervous about their prostates. I put my head in my hands. I've cried, but I was cried out already. I'm sorry, Luke. She squeezed in beside me and patted me between the shoulder blades, like I had swallowed a penny. I don't think he was exactly lying, but I'm afraid this was what it's like when you're famous. You're surrounded by people who are paid to agree with you, so you get these ideas in your head and forget they are not necessarily true. Also, don't get me wrong, the man is a total prick. So what, now he's not dying, he doesn't want to know me anymore? I mean, she sighed, yes. Turns out the old saying about expecting the worst and never been disappointed super doesn't work. John Fleming behaved exactly like John Fleming and had no right to hurt this much. Thanks for not sugarcoating that. Well, look on the bright side. Now you know for certain he's worthless sack of shit and you don't want in your life at all. Yeah, I looked up, slightly wet-eyed and not sure what my expression was doing. I guess I knew that going in. So that was like a fucking disaster, right? To find out. This week's chapters have just been crushing of the spirit. To find, like, obviously in a completely, like, looking at it very black and white way, we're glad the man doesn't have cancer. That's a horrible thing for everyone to go through. But then on the completely, we're following this story, fuck that guy. How dare you just be like, oh, I'm dying, so I want to connect with my son. Oh, I've actually really enjoyed this. I'm getting to know you. Maybe I kind of like talking to you. You're a person. Oh, I booked this restaurant, which has great publicity, and people will see me, you know, before I die, making amends with my son. But now I'm not dying. I don't actually fucking want a connection with you. I am too good for that. Fuck that guy. Oh. And to think I was like kind of like turning, I still wasn't like vibing him, but I was like, yeah, like it's fine. That's how he is. Like, as long as Luke's okay, we enjoy him. No, fuck that man. When he does die of old age, hopefully, you know, we don't wish too much. He does suck. But, like, we just hope he goes to hell. Or heaven, whichever one's worse for him. We hope he goes to a void, where he has nothing to do for eternity. That guy sucks. I can't believe, he wasn't lying about having it, he thought he did, but just the fact that he just doesn't, now that he's gonna live, he doesn't want to see him or connect with him anymore, after he's like, oh, it wasn't that bad, and they're just two guys that catch up for a beer once every 6 months. Would that be so hard for you to maybe have a somewhat relationship? Ooh, it just drives me nuts. We're gonna keep going on because I'm too fragile after these chapters to just talk about these things. I can't wait to the next chapters because I hope they're slightly, if anything, a little bit more uplifting. But Mother Dearest is no, we're not going to work with him anymore. He still wants to do music because he wants rich and fame, but not his own son. He's a prick. I could do what I want. I'm rich anyway. I know the values. I have my friends and my family, and that's what I love doing, so he's not getting anything out of me. Also, fuck that guy. He was mean to my son. And I'm thank you. Thank you very much. Exactly. So then Luke finally goes also, Oliver dumped me. He's if this wasn't also a shit affair as, for you and me and maybe you having to care for me as, my mother and dealing with shit things that I'm having to deal with. Oliver dumped me and that's a thing. And she's oh, fuck. Well then, another one of Mum's shrugs. Fuck him. As advice went, it was surprisingly flexible and worked for my dad because fuck him, but this was differently. Normally, I'd agree, but Oliver was good for me, and I don't want to throw that away. Then don't. I blinked, a few annoying, persistent tears from my eyes. Okay, now you've gone from chill to unhelpful. I don't mean to be, but you had a boyfriend and he made you happy for a while, and now it's over, and if we let happy things make us unhappy when they've stopped, there would be no point in having happy things. That is way more enlightened than I am capable of being right now. There was no point in getting angry at my mother, but it was easier than being sad about my ex. Oliver was pretty much the best part of my life, and I fucked it up, and there's nothing I can do about it, and that feels fucking terrible. She did an ineffectual shoulder pat. It was somehow way less ineffectual than when she did it. I'm sorry you feel terrible. I'm not saying this will not hurt or that it will not be easy, but you did not fuck it up. This Oliver clearly has, as the younger people say today, the issues. Yeah, and I wanted to help him with them, like he helped me. That is his choice. Some people, they do not want to be helped. I was about to protest, but then I remember I'd spent nearly 5 years not wanting to be helped. And it had taken nearly losing my job, dating a guy I could never have considered dating, roping all my friends into a 2-day flat cleaning party, and having some dick from a nightclub feel sorry for me in The Guardian, for me to realise that I hadn't been as safe as I thought I was. So where does that leave me? He's still everything I want, and I can't have him. As Mick used to say, you can't always get what you want. And Luke, Oliver was a nice boy, and I'm sure he liked you very, very much. And I was wrong about him being engaged to a duke, but I think maybe he just came along at the right time. He is she waved her hand in the world's most rattled fairy godmother, the feather in the elephant movie. Are you trying to tell me that that not being a total fuck up was inside me all along? I mean, I used to be a professional songwriter, so I wouldn't say it in such a boring way, but yes. I don't think Oliver changed your life. I think he helped you to see it differently. He has gone now, but you still have the job you pretend you don't like, and the friends who have stuck by you through all of the bullshit. And you have me and Judy, and we love you very much, and we will always be here for you until we're both dead. I squidged alongside, and she put her arm around me. Thanks, Mum. That was lovely until the crushing reminder of our mortality. Since your father is not dying anymore, I thought it can be a good time to remind you to appreciate me while you can. I love you, Mum. This was embarrassing, but, well, sometimes you had to. Is it okay if I stay tonight? Of course. Half an hour later, I was lying in my childhood bed, staring at the ceiling, whose every crack I already knew by heart. It was weird how, in a month, John Fleming had gone from this idea I'd grown up with, to a real person, to an idea again. And, while that hurt, my life was already healing around him, like skin over a cut. Oliver, though, was a different kettle of misery fish. But Mum had been right, hadn't she? I couldn't take everything he'd shown me, and given me, and shared with me, and lose it in the shitness of now. He'd helped me see that my life was better than I thought it was, and I was better than I thought I was, and I could hold on to that, even if I couldn't hold on to him. I shouldn't have closed the book because I actually wanted to go back to a bit, but that was tough. To just, figure out that your dad, the whole John Fleming, we ain't gonna go on to him. Fuck that guy, he sucks. The Oliver thing, I love this quote that his mum said. He made you happy for a while, and now it's over. And if we let happy things make us unhappy when they stopped, there would be no point in having happy things. I love that idea of, and it can't always be true, and you're gonna feel sad about certain things, but just you have to appreciate what you had, and I think that is a really good message. It's not it's easier said than done, but I like that thought of hold on to the good things. He taught you so much, you have grown, he'd brought out of you what was been there all along, but you realized that with him, and it's fantastic, and you can, it's good to see that. But then on the flip side, he's like, yes, I agree, but if I'll keep that if I can't hold on to Oliver, but I still want Oliver. It doesn't mean he can't want that, and I want him to get back, and Oliver better come back. This is gonna be a short outro because I'm out of energy from this one, because it is just hurt me dearly. But if Oliver doesn't come back, I'm going to be pissed. If somehow they don't end up, there's a second book, so I know they've definitely somehow maybe got to get together in the end. That'd be crazy if they didn't. That would be kind of wild. But I'm just no, they have to get together. I have to see it. I want it. I want it. I don't got it. I want it. I want to have it. These next chapters, next week, I can't believe it. We're going to be finishing this. I hope we finish on a high up note. We're going to be so excited and full of energy, because I'm not now, because these chapters crushed me. Everything was just so, but I'm holding on to the happiness of what the whole book is and can be, because I'm not letting the unhappy things make me unhappy. I'm lying to myself. I'm literally not standing by that beautiful, thing that I said was so good, but I can't believe it. Next week, I'm talking in circles because I've lost it. I've officially lost the plot. This is what me losing the plot is. But other than that, I've got to end it here. I hope you enjoyed and are having a fantastic day, and I can't wait to see you in the next one.